Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for the Optc video, and in today's video, Olin, the new treasure map, is coming, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down some buildable teams, as well as the teams that I'm going to be using to take down this particular treasure map. Now, I know I'm a little bit late here, I got my times mixed up, and didn't realize the treasure map literally starts in like 10 hours from me recording this video, so we're here. We have our buildable teams for you guys that don't use stuff like Zoro and the two new treasure map rare recruits. They also don't use stuff from the K-Dad batch, but obviously if you have those characters, you want to try and slide them in because they're all 1.35 times boosters. Obviously, the treasure map legend Zoro is very good for the final fight, and we are using Zoro as a friend captain to maximize our points. Plus, Law and Killer, very, very good for the final fights as well. But like I said, in today's video, we're not even utilizing any of the K-Dad batch. We're not even using any of the Film Red batch either, because they've only just re-released as well. But I do imagine most of you guys will have some of these units. And we're going to talk about replacements as well. Then we're going to move over to my teams. I'm going to show you guys my speed teams, what I'm going to be using to farming. But that's all subject to change as well. As treasure map goes on, I do like to sort of chop and change things. But we will be talking about replacements. We will be talking about other options as well. Now, if you guys don't know what this site is, I'll leave a link in the description. As always, this is the Treasure Map Planner. Huge shout out to them. Absolutely great resource when it comes to building teams for treasure map. And it basically has all of the boosters here. And then if you click on what each fight does, you can filter through and it'll show you what characters are really good at that. But it's up to you however you guys like to run treasure map. Now, I know a lot of people like to run speed-based teams. They don't worry about points on the mini-bosses, which is what I like to do. But for today, these teams are put together for a bit of speed and a bit of points, and sort of talk about how you guys want to run them if you guys want to gain more points, etc. So, let's break it down. Let's take a look at what Apoo does. Also, huge shout out to the database. This is based off the database as well as the images provided, so huge shout out to them. Link will be in the description as always. Let's take a look at Apoo. So if you click on the Apoo button here, it'll basically show you everything that happens. We get 5 turns of cooldowns for everyone on the first turn, and then it's basically 2 mob stages till we hit stage 3 against Apoo. Now, Apoo has 800,000 HP, 4,000 attack. He gives you a 50% HP cut on entry, a full board of block orbs, 1 turn of special reverse. He puts up 3 turns of defense up and has 99 turns of delay immunity. If you use a damage reduction special, he's going to remove all your buffs and do another 30% HP cut. And when he dies, he comes back with 50% HP and does 50,000 damage. So, very, very annoying. Very, very annoying fight, this one. Honestly, in my opinion, this Apoo fight is the worst of the batch. Our leader for this is Kid, and because we have Kamizo on the team, or Killer, we can actually utilize Kid's super tight mechanic to actually do wave clear shenanigans. So he's a 1.35 times booster. You can use his super type here to do wave clear on the first turn. You can use his special to get super bomb orbs to wave clear the second stage, and then that way you don't even have to worry about these block orbs at all, because you'll just have super bomb slots. The downside to Kid is in Kid's captain ability, he has no attack buff. HP buff. He has no HP buff at all. But with boosted stats and whatnot, you should have quite good HP. The downside to Apoo is he actually does this 50% HP cut. And, as you guys can see here, you guys can't use damage reduction effects on the final stage. But there is 2 ways around this. You can use something like good old trusty Mr. 3 support. As you guys see here, Mr. 3 can give 3 turns of a 50% damage reduction, or you can actually use this Shirahoshi. Now, this Shirahoshi is actually pretty good for this fight, mainly because not only does she reduce damage by 50% for 1 to 6 turns, depending on how many enemies are in the previous, on that stage. So, ideally, you pop her on stage 2, then you carry it into the final stage, and she gives you healing, which means once you take this HP cut, she's actually going to heal back 8,000 on that particular turn as well. She'll also turn this 50,000 into 25,000, and what you can actually do with supports here, you can put something like, for example, how can I search? Can I search here? I know there's Rayleigh, for example, right? I don't think I can search up support characters. But basically, you have characters like Rayleigh, you have basically characters like Jinbei that will actually give you quick damage reduction, which should reduce this even further, if I'm correct. It is fixed damage though, so it might not. But I do imagine that will actually take effect there. So, depending on what you have, if you have Mr. 3, it's great. And then you can literally just take off Shirahoshi, put on a different color affinity booster would probably work best. But Tashigi's here because she can remove the defense up. That's awesome. And then we have Croc for cooldowns. Now, the downside to using Croc is you have to have the Mr. 3 support. Otherwise, you're just getting Cerebral and a Cerebral attack boost, which means just Tashigi and just Croc will actually be getting the attack boost. However, Tashigi's color affinity does affect both Tashigi and Croc as well. So, like, that's also something. Kamizo gives you an orb boost. Kid gives you an attack. Well, Kid will give you an attack boost if you have the Mr. 3 support. Then you also have the ability to use Mr. 1 for a chain boost as well. Croc's also going to be a chain boundary unit because you're at 50% HP on that entry. So that's an option. However, if you guys don't have Croc, I do understand most people probably don't have Croc. You could easily use something like Orochi or Garp if you did any PvP summons. Or you could use something like this Sunnykun. Sunnykun would be a great option here, provided you don't have Croc. But Croc's going to give you more damage because you have the chain boundary. But remember, you want to use something to get Kid's attack boost first. Other than that, you don't have that many really good options for cooldown reducers. So just be mindful of that as well. But that's the Apoo fight. Very annoying. This team should work moving forward. Just depending on how much HP you actually have, that is going to be a bit of a... That could be a little bit of an option. But you can also use stuff like healing supports here as well. Like you obviously have like this VV you can use. On Shirahoshi, do we have any other healings? We could also use... That's probably it, to be honest. We have like the VV. Is Kamizo... Like, what's Kamizo got? Kamizo's got nothing. But you could, yeah, you could try some stuff like that as well. Like, that's definitely an option. Alright, so moving on to the Hawkins fight now. Hawkins is a strength unit, and on turn 1, you get cooldown for striker, driven, and powerhouse units. He has 1.8 million HP, 6,000 attack, and on preemptive, he puts up 5 turns of 80% damage reduction. He gives you 5 turns of special seal, 10 turns of resilience on himself. He does a 50% HP cut, and he has 99 turns of poison immunity. Now, for this Hawkins fight, you can actually cheese it. The characters that are recommended are Kaido and Treasure Map Queen. So if you guys have those free-to-play characters, you are in for good stead. And the way that I've sort of designed this team is we're actually utilizing this Hody as captain. This Hody as a captain gives 2.25 times HP to powerhouse and driven units, which is very, very good. And the reason this is very, very good is you get a lot of HP with this. Running double Hody, you have a lot of HP. You can then run the Navy ship, gives you a 1.5 times HP boost. With boosted stats as well, you're going to have a lot of HP, right? And then, when you enter this stage, you actually get 50% HP cut. Now, if you guys don't know what Queen does, this Queen right here, not only does he remove the damage reduction, which is great for this fight, but he does 50 times the damage taken from enemies before the special is activated in typeless damage to one enemy. Now, this caps at 10 million. So, you have to take 200,000 damage to actually get the 10 million. But if you have like over 400,000 HP, which honestly you can sometimes get with this this setup, then you are going to do the 10 million. So once Hawkins doesn't have 10 million HP, which by the way is around nav level 23. Once you hit nav level 24, he just cracks it, but then you can sort of just probably tap and win anyway. So you should probably get this strat to work to maybe around like nav level 25. And once that starts to become a problem, you can easily just put Kaido up as your captain, and then you can... What the hell is going on here? You can use Kaido as your captain here, and then you can just bring like any other quick unit on this particular team. Now, the reason that Kaido is so good for this, like Queen is obviously going to remove the damage reduction anyway, so you can always leave Queen here, but Kaido can actually remove the special bind, and he can actually get around the resilience. Ideally, you want to use Kaido as a sub. You could always bring Kaido as a friend captain. You could then use the Big Mom as your captain here. That will definitely work. If you guys have something like Orochi, you could definitely run Orochi as captain. I don't imagine a lot of people would have this Orochi, but like definitely an option for you. You also have Hina. Hina's a very good option if you guys have done some treasure map pulls. Okay, this is actually doing my head in now. You could use Hina as your captain. That's definitely an option for you guys as well. Basically, any quick captain that is just going to boost everyone will work very nicely. But obviously, these guys here are going to give you more points. If you want to bring a friend captain Kaido, if you can find it, you can set that up. But the best thing to do would be to just use like Olin as your captain anyway. You could even use something like Queen as your captain, really. So lots of very good options here. Like I said, very cheesable with the Hody strat. But we also have Daifuku here. Daifuku's here to wave clear for us. He's on a 6-turn cooldown. He just works absolutely phenomenally. So this team's actually going to work very, very nicely. Alright, on to the next fight. We have the mini-boss Orochi. He gives 5 turns of cooldown to Slashers, Cerebrals, and Free Spirit characters. On stage 2, you get a full board of Bomb Orbs, and he also puts up a 2.5 times attack boost. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be a mini-boss, or if this is going to be, like, wave clearable. So, if it's wave clearable, awesome. Speed strats will reign supreme. However, it might not. Now, this fight is designed for Corazon and Law, as well as the free-to-play Dofi. Now, I obviously haven't taken into consideration that people would have Corazon and Law, because I do think that that's not exactly very accessible, or a lot of people skip that banner. However, there is another way around it. Now, on stage 3 against Orochi, you get super block orbs, and obviously this is why you want to have Corazon and Law. 99 turns of normal attacks only, which is annoying. 10 turns of despair. There's 5 turns of special bind on your second and third row, and then 1 turn of good super lock orbs, as well as delay immunity. So a lot of really annoying shenanigans, and as you guys can see, Corazon and Law will be the character to use for this, because you get empty orbs, they can't be changed. However, you can use Hiyori. Hiyori as a sub will actually give you a full board of Wano slots at the start of the quest, and she can also remove 7 turns of 7 turns of despair, which is very, very handy. So the idea here is to have Hiyori as a sub. You get a full board of Wano orbs. You can then use Caesar to wave clear the first 2 stages, hopefully. Mainly wave clear the first stage. And then use Doflamingo on the second stage. Doflamingo is going to lock your orbs, as well as give 3 turns of a 2.25 times orb boost, which is very, very powerful. He then normally randomizes all orbs into either block or super bomb, but like, because you have Wano orbs, that's actually not going to happen. So really, you're just giving yourself an orb boost, and you're locking the slots there, which is actually very, very good. On the final stage, if you can't wave clear this, you'll have a conditional boost with Caesar, because there's only delay immunity. To get around the special binds, we have our other Dofi special, and then to get around the despair, we're utilizing Hiyori. Now, Hiyori should still rotate the Wano orbs, even though they already Wano, so I do imagine the Reiju support will proc, and that'll give you a 1.75 times attack boost to Cerebral characters, which is Caesar and the 2 Dofis, which is very, very good. Moria is also a color affinity booster to Driven as a support on Caesar, as you have 3 Driven characters. And then you can actually get a chain boost with Fuji, as well as activating the super type, so that way your dex units are, your int units are super type as well. If this support doesn't work on Hiyori, you can easily use something like Shiki for Driven booster. You could use this Robin for an int booster. Hell, you could even use Uta if you have Uta there as well. So a lot of very, very good options for supports, but this particular support is the highest attack booster that I've seen. As for these 2 units here, they're completely interchangeable. You do not need the Admirals on this team. You can take them off. You can put any other characters that you want on. They're just a 1.35 times booster, and I thought, hey, look, getting a chain boost is an extra buff. Getting a super type is great, and then obviously you can get a conditional here with a Kainu if this stage is wave clearable as well. So a lot of damage with this team, even though Dofi is a lower multiplier. Everyone's getting boosted on this team except for Fuji, because Driven, Cerebrals. So it works out very, very nicely. It works great without utilizing Corazon and Law. Corazon and Law are 1.35 times booster. If you can find one, sure, bring one. Like, why not? But, like, it's really not necessary, and you don't actually need to bring Corazon and Law for this fight to work. However, you will need Hiyori. Alright, so moving on to the Kanjuro fight now. Kanjuro gives 5 turns of cooldown to Strength, Dex, and Int. He has 1.8 million HP and 6,000 attack. He then gives you a full board of block orbs, 8 turns of bind on your friend captain, 3 turns of special rewind on your second row, 6 turns of special bind on your bottom row, 5 turns of defense up, and has delay immunity. Now, as you can see with this, all of this right here, this fight is built for Halloween Ace. If you have Halloween Ace as your captain, you are going to be in very good stead here. You're not going to have too many issues with this particular fight. All you need to do is get around the block orbs, and all you then need to do is get around the defense up, and you are hunky-dory. You can use stuff like Halloween Luffy to get around these block orbs. You can use stuff like Luffy Whitebeard to get around these block orbs, and it all works out very nicely. Depending on where your Halloween Ace sits, or how your Halloween Ace friend captain sits, is depending on how you really want to actually build out this team. So the team that I've sort of put together looks a little bit like this. We are using Halloween Ace, obviously, as our captain. His captain is going to remove the silence. He removes the special rewinds. He also is an int fighter shooter captain. 4.5 is very, very good. He gives cooldowns at the start of the fight too, which is very, very awesome. That way you can use stuff like Izo and Kiku. And then His special is not only an attack booster, but it's also a color affinity booster. And if you have him a level limit break 5, he's going to turn Izo Kiku's chain lock into 3.75 and the Luffy Whitebeard orb boost into a 3 times as well. However, in the early stages, it's not going to matter too much. And what you can actually do is you can also use him as a wave clearer because he does so much goddamn damage. However, he's an attack booster. Wave clearer is attack boosting is a little bit slower, but nevertheless, it's definitely an option. The team that I've sort of built is utilizing Ace as one of our wave clearers. We then have Izo Kiku to wave clear the second stage. Izo Kiku can give 3 turns of a chain lock as well, so you can carry that into the final stage. And even if you don't have, like, even if you're not increasing this chain lock, it really doesn't matter too much. Vivi, Rebecca, completely replaceable here. They're literally just here for points. What you could actually do is just completely take them off and just put Blackbeard here. Like, Blackbeard's just going to give you way more points. To get around the defense up, we have Draku Mihawk, the free-to-play character. He's another chain locking option. If you guys don't have Izo Kiku, you can then use Draku Mihawk and then use Ace to turn that into 3.75, because Luffy and Whitebeard not only remove 3 turns of defense up, but they give you tandem orbs through block orbs, which is awesome. They also give a what's it called? They give a 3-turn removal of defense. Oh, sorry, they give a 1.5 times orb boost. So if you bring a friend captain Ace, wow, what's hard. If you bring a friend captain Ace and you're not doing the wave clearing shenanigans, Ace is going to be your attack booster, your color affinity booster. He's going to turn the orb boost into a 3 times orb boost, the chain lock into a 3.75 times chain lock, and you are going to be super hunky dory. Like I said, Blackbeard's literally just here for points. You could also do some really cool shenanigans if you guys have some supports. You could do something like, where's remove defense up? You could do something like this, and that will get rid of the 5 turns of defense up. Super hunky dory that way. That way, then you could just replace Mihawk. But again, Mihawk's another chain locking option for you. If you guys don't have this Sabo, you could easily use something like these 2 units here. The Frankie can set it to 80%. That should be enough, if I'm completely honest with you. If you have the Mihawk, obviously that's going to work great. And then that's another option if you guys don't have Izo Kiku as well. Alright, so on to the final fights now. We have the big boss, Kaido. He's actually the boss for this particular treasure map, but Olin is the invasion. Slashes, Free Spirit, Cerebrals get their cooldowns. He has 2 million HP at the start, 6,600 attack. You got a full board of Tandem Orbs, 4 turns of attack down if your chain is below 3.2. 99 turns of normal attack to only, 6 turns of defense up, and then 99 turns of delay immunity. So, a lot of annoying stuff there. On the final stage, he gives 5 turns of Threshold, 8 turns of Despair, which go down to 5 after Sockets. You have a Good Barrier for 3 goods for 2 turns, 6 turns of damage reduction, and 99 turns of delay immunity. So, a very, very annoying fight. But there is a way around this, utilizing last month's treasure map with with treasure map lore. So this treasure map lore, the Wave of a New Era, he's very good as a captain for us because he becomes a 4 times captain for Slashes and Cerebrals. And obviously, we want to bring a friend captain Zoro, who is a Slasher booster as well. Now, this team is very Free Spirit Slasher centric. Also very, like, Cerebral centric as well. So to proc the super class of Zoro, we are utilizing a Luffy on the team. We have treasure map Luffy here as a color affinity booster. It's literally all he's here for. Like, basically, he's the super class booster. He's a color affinity booster. That's his main role. For getting around stage 2, we get a full board of Tandem Orbs, which is great. But to get around this particular annoyance here, we are utilizing Kizaru. Now, Kizaru gives us a 3.25 chain lock because we don't have one of every color, which is very, very nice. He can also give us 1 turn of cooldown, which we don't really need, but like, it is what it is. He's going to give us the chain lock, and then Carrot Wanda are going to be our defense remover. Now, switching with Carrot Wanda is awesome because they get an attack buff, and then if you have them Limit Break expanded, you actually get their cooldown ready to go on the final stage as well. What you can do is obviously use Carrot Wanda first, then use Kizaru because Kizaru gives cooldowns. If you don't have them Limit Break expanded, and then if you need to, you can also use something like the Brûlée support. That's going to give you 2 turns of cooldowns, just so you have their special ready to go on the final stage again. So that way you have another orb booster. They're going to be way more damage than what you need with the chain lock. You're just going to like single tap and then go straight to Carrot Wanda. Carrot Wanda set the defense to 0. They're not immune to defense down, so that works great. Then you actually still have your tandem orbs for the final stage. You don't need this Beppo support, but like, for when shit starts to hit the fan and you need to do more damage, you need to hit with Law. Beppo's there just to give you that tandem orb on the final stage. On the final stage, to remove the damage reduction and the threshold, we are utilizing this Zoro. Now, because our captain has a tandem orb, he gives us the chain multiplier growth rate, and then he removes the damage reduction and the threshold. He also does the chain tap timing starting at 0.2 going up to 0.6, and with the chain growth rate, this becomes 0.3 to 0.9. So your goods are like your hitting perfects, which is actually wild. We have color affinity with Luffy. Luffy's going to rotate all of our orbs, so make sure that you use Zoro first, and then you can use Law. Law will actually just give you a full board orbs, and that's basically what he's here for. With Uta, Uta is going to give us a chain boost as well as setting defense to 0 and giving us a conditional boost whilst getting around the despair. So she works amazingly. She removes 6 turns of despair. She has double special activation, so you go 2, and because you have defense down, you get another 2, so 6 turns, and then she also gives you the 1.1 chain boost, she gives you the 100% defense down, and she gives you a conditional boost by 2 times. That is going to help out drastically for this. Because you still have the attack down, if you're below 3.2, you're gonna be struggling when you hit goods. But with Zoro, hitting a good is still like hitting a perfect, and with the chain boost, you're actually starting at 2.1 with the chain boost, and then every time you hit a good, you go 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. So that's adding 0.9. So after you break the barrier, you are going to be at a what's it called? You are going to be above the. Well, you're going to be sitting at around the 3 times chain at that point. And then Carrot and Wanda actually have Barrier Pen as well. So what you could do is you could actually go like good, hit a perfect here, go up by 0.9. So that's 1.5 on top. By that point, you'll be definitely over the 3.2. You can then hit another good with Kizaru. Kizaru probably has Barrier Pen through, right? Do you have like that? But if he has Barrier Pen too, you could obviously just hit it perfect with him as well. Again, building up that chain just to get above the 3.2. And as long as you hit with Zoro last, like he's going to be doing all of your damage basically. So just be mindful of that. And with that, you should be okay. You're going to have Zoro Superclass, so 2.5 times attack. You'll have a 2 times Orb Boost with Carrot and Wanda. You'll have a 2 times conditional boost. You'll have, if you really want to as well on this, sorry, you have 1.75 times Color Affinity. So, like, you should have plenty of damage for this Kaido fight. Should have plenty of damage. Obviously, you do need Carrot and Wanda. I do understand that's a bit annoying. And obviously, Kizaru is very important here as well. And for the intrusion, this was a very interesting one because they did something very cheeky and they actually added in a character to the booster list to get around this, which we'll talk about in a second. Olin, she has 5 turns of cooldown to Strength, Dex, and Int. She has 2 million HP at the start, 6,600 attack. On stage 2, you get 2 turns of special, like you can only use 2 specials. It's 99 turns of normal attacks only. You can, for 1 turn, you can only attack with 2 units. There's 1 turn of damage null, so you can't do any damage. So you need to remove this. And then 99 turns of delay. On the final stage, Olin has 3.5 million HP, 9,600 attack. That is a lot at the start. You get Captain Swap to your bottom right for 3 turns. So Captain Swap down the bottom, very, very annoying. I actually need to move characters around on my teams because I just realized I totally forgot to put characters in the wrong spot. But you get 5 turns of paralysis. You get 99 turns of normal attacks only. 1 turn of special rewinds. 5 turns of attack down. There's 6 turns of threshold. And then there is delay immunity. So for this particular team to get around all of this shenanigans, you need to use this Kaido. If you don't have K-Dad, you have to use this Kaido. You could bring a K-Dad friend captain, but let's be real, like, if you don't have K-Dad, finding K-Dads might be a bit challenging because no one's using K-Dad for this, right? The 1.4 times booster is not going to be good enough. 2 times with Zoro as a friend captain is way better. So what this Kaido does is not only does he remove the damage null by 2 turns, he gives himself a 1 orb, he gives himself 3 times attack, and he gives himself 3 times orbs. And then you are going to be in very, very good stead to actually take out this particular stage. What you actually want to do here as well is you probably want to actually activate Law to get a captain swap. Actually, you probably don't, because then Kaido's not going to get boosted. Pretty sure this Uta, actually, she's just a rainbow captain, right? Yeah, Uta is a rainbow captain. So her switching in is actually very, very good. And that way you can still boost everyone. So that's actually perfect the way that I built this team. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So the idea is to use Kaido on this particular turn, and then use the super type of Kid as well. Because you have Law on the team, you can activate the super type. Law's super type basically, Kid's super type is basically going to give you a full board of bomb slots. And the reason that that is so handy is that it's just going to make Kaido just hit a lot harder. What you can then do is literally just tap with Uta, then tap with Kaido, because Kaido is just going to do all of the damage here. Like, it's just going to do all of the damage, which is great. Unfortunately, he'll have a Wano orb, which is actually a downside, because like with Kid, you kind of want him to have a bomb slot, right? Kid is our captain. He's a 4x captain. However, if you have bombs, he's a 5x captain. But with Wano, that does not the case. So that's a little bit annoying, my boy. But look, it is what it is. Kaido should have the potential to kill there. And if you have this Caesar support, Caesar is going to give you a conditional boost as well, which just means more damage, which is always great. You could also try something like a chain locking support. But ideally, you really want to have everyone else's specials ready by the final stage. So, kind of a bit annoying there. So, on the final stage, though, you get captain swap to your bottom right. In this case, it'll be Uta. Uta is a 3.75 rainbow captain. So, she works very, very nicely as our captain. So, make sure she's in the bottom right. And then, basically, what we're going to do is, to get around all these nasty shenanigans, we have Kizaru to get around the paralysis and the special rewind. To get around the attack down, we have Uta herself. Uta can remove all the attack down, which is very, 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 very good, as well as utilizing the free-to-play Luffy support on our Law. That's the 5 turns right there. Uta's also going to set the defense to 0. She gives us a chain boost, and she gives us, what's it called? She gives us conditional, because there's no delay immunity. If you really want to as well, with this particular team, if you have a different attack down removing supports over Luffy, I chose Luffy because he's free to play. However, if you can get another attack down reducing support on... I know there's one for Kaido, so if you don't have this Caesar, you can obviously just use the page 1. And then what you could do here is you could actually use the support to get a tandem orb with Beppo. So that's another option, and then that way you can get the chain boundary shenanigans over here. It just depends on how stage 2 goes, really. Like, stage 2 is a bit of an annoyance, because Kaido is literally the only one that's going to be hitting. So the scaling of this is going to be very challenging, because, like, say, for example, you get to nav level 40, like, you got to hit 17 million damage, so that's a lot with Kaido. Literally just with a 3x attack, literally just with a 3x orb, so... it might be a little bit shaky with this particular full setup, but nevertheless, it might work. It might work, honestly. Like, it's going to be a little bit how you're going. But, so ideally, if you have Caesar, use Caesar here, and then you can use the Luffy support here to get around the attack down. On the final stage, you have conditional with Uta, chain boost with Uta. You'll actually have a chain lock with Kizaru, which is kind of annoying, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I guess what you could do... for the later stages, is actually utilize both of them, right? If you use... Where's the attack down gone? If you use both of these supports, that's actually 3 turns. And then what you could do is you could actually use Uta on turn 2. Because you're going to get a chain lock on the final stage anyway. You will lose out on the conditional boost. But, like, I feel like once it gets harder later, this particular setup is going to be needed to actually take down stage 2. So, that's a bit of a yikes, but look, it is what it is. Kizaru, he removes paralysis, he removes special blind. He kind of has to come. And then Kid is our attack booster. Zoro is our orb booster. Zoro here is our... what's it called? He's our... chain shenanigan booster and our... Well, he's a higher attack booster too, actually. So, what you could do is you could actually use Kid on the previous turn, but then you wouldn't have an orb boost. Look, it's not exactly the greatest intrusion, if I'm completely honest with you, but something like this should work fine. This is what I would rock later down the line once the HP gets up a lot higher. But once it's in the early stages, you can use double Uta on the final stage, and that will give you the conditional boost as well. So that's the buildable teams. I know that was a lot of talking because there's a lot going on, but hopefully these teams will help you guys out with building your own, or sort of giving you ideas how to get through them. All of them do use some sort of wave clear, like Kid is a wave clearer, Daifuk is a wave clearer, Caesar is a wave clearer. Izo Kiku and Acer wave clearers, and then obviously these aren't. Now, on these teams, if you want more points, just take off Caesar. If you want more points, take off Daifuku. Don't run this cheesy strat. Like, you could run it, like I said, I gave you options for there. But this team works great because you have the wave clearer built into Kid. So, they're the buildable teams. Like I said, hopefully they help you guys out a little bit. But for you big old whales, let's take a look at what I'll be using and how I am going to speedrun this treasure map. Alright, so moving on to my teams now, we're taking a look at Apoo, and basically to get around this, we are utilizing Kid and the treasure map lore. Because I have the boosters, I can use lore on this team, and the big reason that lore is so good for this fight is when lore becomes your captain, he gives you 70% damage reduction. Because you get the 50,000 death damage and the revive, you also get a captain swap with Apoo, which I think I forgot to mention in the buildable teams. The captain swap will basically get removed, you get the 70% damage reduction, and you will be fine there. To get around the defense up, I'm using a Kainu. A Kainu is going to give us a burn conditional. Plus, we also have the support of Mr. 3, so that way we can get the damage reduction. The burn won't kill on the revive, but it's going to do a lot of damage. To get around the special rewind, we have Kizaru, and then Garb's just here for points. The idea here is to go like super type special with the friend captain Kid, and then like a Kainu super type special with Kid after switching captains with lore. This fight for me is the most annoying because it's going to take the longest. Because you're going to have to sit through a captain swap regardless. It is a little bit annoying, but look, it is what it is. And if the HP is so tight with Kid, because he doesn't give a HP buff, I do have a Koala friend captain idea ready to go if need be. So that's my Apoo team. Should be pretty fast as it possibly can be, right? And if like I can do some shenanigans with Koala, I'll bring Koala because she completely removes special rewind as well. So that way you won't even need to pop the Kizaru special. Moving on to the next team against Hawkins, I'm utilizing the strat of Hody in the early stages. The idea here is once you get to the final stage, you use Kaido to remove the special bind. You use, what's his name? Queen to basically just kill with that big Unga Bunga damage. Hody gives the 2.25 times HP. And then with the Navy ship, you should have a lot of HP here. We have Zoro for wave clearing shenanigans. Honestly, Orochi can wave clear as well. So, like, if you wanted to bring another point booster that could wave clear, you could do that. But, obviously, this team's not going to work forever. So, on the minimap, this team will work just continuously. And, honestly, if I can find Hawkins on the map, I will. But I'm not going to go out of my way to find him. So, once I do get past nav level 25, I'll probably switch to this particular team here. Now, the idea of this particular team is we have, Kaido once again to get around the special binds. And then I have Orochi for an orb boost and a color affinity booster. Croc is a chain boundary unit. Because we get 50% HP cut, we're going to get that chain boundary. Plus, we're going to have the driven attack boost from Kaido anyway. So the idea here is to use the Kaido special, then use the Crocodile special, and then basically do a hit a perfect with Kuzen and the Izo support, so that way I can get around the damage reduction thanks to Mr. 1 as well, and then just hit with Kaido straight after, and Kaido's going to hit so hard. Once I do need more damage, I can use the Orochi special. That way we get color affinity, that way we get an orb boost as well. So this team should do bits, it should do a lot of damage, but you could also do something with like Dofi, I guess, and just build out a driven team, especially if you don't have Orochi, right? You could just use Dofi as your captain, then just replace Zoro. Dofi can be a wave clear as well, that should work pretty hunky-dory. Moving on to the next mini-boss, we have Orochi, and again, Coral Law, they're absolutely so good for this. Utilizing them as a captain, you can get around the bomb slots on stage 2. You can then keep the empty slots. You have this Doflamingo to get around the special bind, and he's our orb booster, which is very, very handy. And then Caesar's a very good wave clearer. He's also a conditional booster for the final stage if need be. Then Sengoku and what's his name? Fuji are literally just here for points. Fuji's a chain booster, which is very, very handy. But Sengoku is literally replaceable with anyone. Final mini-boss team we have is Double Halloween Ace. And this particular team is a bit of an interesting one. So, for the first stage, you actually get the Wano slots, thanks to Hiyori. And the idea here is you actually get block slots on the final stage. So, instead of bringing someone to swap block slots, I'm just going to try and hang on to those Wano slots for the rest of the fight. Shiryu does 50 times his attack in damage to all enemies, so he should be able to wave clear. Plus, he's a slasher, which means he can use the Mihawk support, which will set defense to 0 on the final stage. And then the combination of these two units literally means that I just avoid using two specials. Izo Kiku are going to wave clear the second stage. They give us a chain lock moving into the final stage. And then with the supports of Kanjuro, Raizo, and Lafitte, we get around all of the bind, which works very, very nicely. In the early stages, I'm just going to pop Blackbeard and then just go tap-tap with Blackbeard. and let Blackbeard's damage do the work for me. However, once things start to get a little bit more challenging, I'm going to start utilizing the two Ace specials. So Ace with Halloween Law support first, then I can take off the supports to get around to remove the bind, and Ace will do that for me. But the idea here is just so that I can just go Shiryu special, Izokiku special, Blackbeard special, win. Like that's the goal here for this particular team. But as the nav levels get higher, eventually I'll have to start using the two Ace specials, get the color affinity boost, and all that sort of fun stuff as well. So onto the boss team. Obviously, we're just basically using the recommended characters. Against Kaido, he doesn't do the captain swap, does he? Yeah, no, he doesn't. So to get around the second stage, we're just basically using a Zoro on turn 2. We're using a Zoro on turn 3. To get around the barrier, we have Cat Viper. To get around stage 2 as well, I think we use Killer to get around the defense up. We have a full board of tandem slots, so that's going to work out very, very nicely. And then we can use our attack booster from, our attack booster with K-Dad as well for the final stage as well. I think Law, what does this Law actually do, right? He gives the chain boost, and he gives color affinity, so that's always fun. You have the super typing of Zoro for each stage as well, so you should have plenty of damage here. Final stage, it's basically, again, just the recommended characters, and then we have Kawamatsu here. Kawamatsu is here to get around the paralysis, I'm pretty sure. Might be the attack down. No, not the attack down. Bind and Despair. Did I put the right unit on the team? I might have put the wrong unit on the team. But basically, you get captain swap to your bottom right here, so that's why you want to put K-Dad down the bottom right. K-Dad at the bottom right will actually become your captain, and then will remove the attack down, which is super nice, provided it doesn't trigger first. To get around the special reverse, we have... Pretty sure Killer gives one turn of cooldown, doesn't he? Yeah, so Killer gives the cooldown. He gives slots as well, which is always really, really nice. And to get around the paralysis, I'm pretty sure that's what Law does. Yes, Law does the paralysis removal, which is great. And Kawamatsu seems to just be here just because. Yeah, he seems to be here just because. Maybe the special reverse? No, Killer does that. This is the fun about having the boosted units, right? Like, it's just like... Well, you want to use the K-Dad to remove the damage null. I guess, like, Kawamatsu's replaceable with, like, anything, I guess. The recommended units are already on the team, so, like, yeah, it basically just works from there. So there you guys go. There are my speed teams. They're the accessible teams, or buildable teams, I should say. I like to use a different word there because lots of other people use that word. But nevertheless, you guys know what I mean. Let me know your thoughts and opinions of the treasure map in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys will be running, what you guys will be using. And hopefully you guys do your best to get as many points as you guys need. Obviously, the idea is to try and get to 10 million if you can, but just be happy if you do hit the 2 mil. Don't break yourself. Don't hate the game, playing and grinding out a game mode if you're not super enjoying it. The idea is just to get the character, get as many mats as you possibly can to bolster your account, and then you can move forward. Like I said, if you enjoy this type of stuff, build the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, hit the big red subscribe button. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!